Fallout 4 is a 2015 game by Bethesda, set in Boston, Massachusetts in the year 2077. The Fallout universe and our own diverged at some point after the nuclear bombings that ended World War II, and by 2077 the world is on the brink of nuclear holocaust. Our hero, Bob, served as a gunman in the army, and then he retired or something, even though he's old enough to still be serving, and the world is basically at war. But whatever, I guess he got PTSD or something. Yeah, he got gun PTSD from shooting too many guns, and so he's sworn never to shoot a gun again. These days, Bob watches TV, drinks Nuka-Cola, and leaves the childcare to his wife and robot butler. Due to Bob's military experience, he and his family have been selected to shelter in a nearby vault in the event that war were declared.
Time being a precious commodity. I'm here today to tell you that because of your family's service to our country, you have been pre-selected for entrance into the local vault. Vault 111.
Conveniently, just after this conversation, war were declared. Bob and his family leave their robot butler behind and dash for the vault, and are subsequently treated into a cryogenic chamber and frozen for an unknown amount of time.
The pod will decontaminate and depressurize you before we head deeper in the vault. Just relax.
Time for a whole new life.
Because plot needs to happen, some guys turn up and shoot Bob's wife and steal his kid, kicking off our motivation for the main quest.
I'm not giving you Sean!
Bob stumbles out of his cryo chamber and into the world. The year is now 2287. Everything is horribly irradiated, and all he has in the world are his two fists. It's time to punch our way through to Sean, whatever it takes. Fallout 4's melee combat is extremely broken. The special system allows players to customize their character to suit their needs. Usually a character will have their points spread fairly evenly across all attributes. For this run, we'll be relying primarily on strength, agility, and luck. Strength allows us to use Iron Fist to do more punching damage, Armor and Blacksmith for more power armor mods, and Strong Back, which lets us do absurd things when over-encumbered in the late game. Agility gives us Action Boy for faster action point regeneration, and the turbo broken perk Blitz, which lets you teleport great distances using VATS and increases melee damage. Its second rank, unlocked at level 29, increases this even further, and damage increases proportionately to distance travelled using it. It is simply incredible how powerful Blitz is. Luck provides us with the Idiot Savant perk, which initially randomly gives you 3 times EXP anytime you gain experience, bumping up to 5 times at level 11. Having this perk activated at the end of a quest will seriously turbocharge your leveling, and it happens more often the lower your intelligence. Bob's intelligence is set to 1. He's a big dumbass, and Idiot Savant will more than make up for the smaller amount of EXP earned per action compared to having full intelligence. Grim Reaper's Sprint gives you a chance for any kill to fully refill your action points, allowing you to chain kills in VATS extremely easily. Better Criticals, Critical Banker, and 4-Leaf Clover all significantly increase the usefulness of your critical hits. Better Criticals increase the damage of your crits, Critical Banker lets you save up critical hits to be spent at your leisure, and 4-Leaf Clover gives you a chance to fill your crit meter on any hit. Once all of these perks are leveled up, you become an unstoppable critical machine. With these perks in mind, the rules I set for myself this run were very simple. Only use punching attacks when dealing with enemies. Don't ever shoot a gun for any reason. Holding guns is allowed, just no shooting. Have fun. I'll be going through the main quest only. This game is stupidly long if you include all of the regular side quests, let alone the DLC. So let's get to it. Once we pick up the Pip-Boy and leave the vault, it's time for us to go back to our old house. Codsworth, our robot butler, is still here and helps us clear the town of some huge mutated flies. Codsworth suggests that we check out nearby Concord. There's a dog, and upon arriving at the town, we see a whole bunch of raiders firing upon the local museum. There are more inside, so we unquestioningly head in for more violence. Inside, we meet Preston Garvey, de facto leader of the almost completely decimated Minutemen, who asks us to put on a suit of power armor and shoot the shit out of some more raiders. Having our own set of power armor is going to be pretty good, removing fall damage, increasing melee damage, and hugely preventing regular damage. But we're not going to be using the supplied minigun, we're going to be fighting our way out of this by hand. The raiders outside go down easily enough, but out of the sewer comes our first mini-boss. Deathclaw. Right now we're too weak to take on a Deathclaw directly, so we can use the power of delicious gasoline to knock out a chunk of its health and give us a chance at punching its lights out. It doesn't take too long before we're picking its corpse clean. Preston tells us that he and his troop are going to settle in Sanctuary, but that the best chance of finding Sean is going to be in Diamond City. Preston declares us to be General of the Minutemen because we agreed to help him, and he asks us for further assistance by way of helping settlements throughout the Commonwealth. Usually I'd love to help, but it's not required for the main quest line, and our power armor's out of fusion cores, so it's time for us to go to Diamond City and get some. Diamond City is a fortified town built out of the remains of a baseball field, and we're unfortunately forced to interact with a woman named Piper, who will not be appearing again in this video.
Out in the open here for crying out loud.
I got orders not to let you in, Miss Piper. I'm sorry. I'm just doing my job.
Our main interest is with Arturo, who sells fusion cores for a shitload of caps, but luckily since we have no need for weapons, apparel, or ammo, we can offload all of our inventory and pick up some useful fusion cores in return. With plenty of fusion cores and a complete overhaul of our power armor, it's time for us to visit the local detective agency, Valentine's, to see if they can find Sean. Unfortunately, Valentine's is closed, because the primary detective, Nick Valentine, is missing, presumed dead.
Sorry. I'll come back later.
No, that's not what I mean. We're not just closed for the day. We're closed permanently. The detective's gone missing.
To move the plot along, we agree to go find Nick, and we're sent to find him in a nearby metro station, which has been converted into a vault. In the vault, we see Nick being held hostage by some guy, so he cops a knuckle sandwich, and Nick is set free.
My son, Sean, is missing. He was kidnapped, but I don't know who took him or where they went.
Missing kid, huh? Well, you came to the right man, if not the right place.
Fighting our way out of the vault, we're confronted with some more guys, who meet a similar fate to everyone else we've fought so far. Valentine agrees to help us find Sean and asks us to return to his detective agency. After asking us a few questions, Nick mentions a sinister name.
One of them came right up to me. Bald head. Scar across his left eye.
Wait. It couldn't be. You didn't hear the name.
Kellogg.
Kellogg is a pretty well-known scoundrel in these parts, who apparently had some 10-year-old kid with him while renting a house in Diamond City some time ago. Obviously this kid isn't Sean, but if he's known for trafficking other children, he might have a lead on our newborn son.
It's Sean. It has to be. Somehow.
Don't jump the gun on me. You said you were looking for an infant, remember? That's over 9 years difference by my count. Look,
Unfortunately, the lock on his front door is just too dang tight, so we have to bribe the mayor's receptionist for the key.
that's one heck of a lock. Got something to hide, Kellogg? Why don't you give it a try?
Lock's really strong. Maybe we can reach an agreement? I just happen to have a pile of caps here.
A gift? For me? Oh, how generous.
Once we're inside, a secret room is revealed, and we learn that Kellogg likes to smoke and drink.
Look at this.
Gwinnett Stout beer, 44 caliber bullets, cigars, San Francisco Sunlights.
Interesting brand. Won't lead us anywhere on its own, though.
Remember that dog we met earlier? Well, we met a dog earlier, and we're gonna get the dog to follow the scent of beer and smoke to our target.
Dog meat. Get the scent, boy. Take me to him, boy. Take me to Sean.
In what is arguably the longest and most arduous quest of the game, after 12 real-time minutes of walking across the map and pressing A on the dog, we arrive at Kellogg's hideout, a fort.
I believe that nose has turned our pup here on holiday. He did his part. Now it's time for us to do ours.
The dog is sent back to wherever dogs go when they aren't needed, and we stealthily disable the outer security of the fort before heading inside. We fight our way through the fort, using our chi powers to disable turrets from a distance, before stumbling upon the room where Kellogg is hiding.
I thought I had that honor.
You murdering, kidnapping psychopath. Give me my son. Give me Sean. Now!
Right to it then, huh?
After a few tense words, we learn that Kellogg had indeed been trafficking Sean, and it's implied that some time had passed between his extraction and ours. Sean is revealed to be with the Institute, a shadowy organization responsible for the creation of synths, synthetic humans who have been replacing real humans for the past few years.
The Institute. Well, I'll find him. No matter where he is. Nothing will stop me.
Eventually, it's time for Kellogg to get his Fruit Looped. Anyway, Kellogg hits his use-by date and collapses to the floor. For some reason, a bit of brain with a microchip on it shows up in his inventory. I'm sure that won't come in useful later. Having extracted bloody revenge, but being no closer to finding our son, we leave the fort, only to be greeted by a massive airship, taking up the entire sky and generally oppressing everything around it.
People of the Commonwealth.
It's time to talk about... The Brotherhood of Steel are loud, showy, and often brutal enforcers of what they consider to be justice. Initially, we're introduced to a small clutch of Brotherhood agents defending a police station in Central Square. they're in search of an object called the Deep Range Transmitter, which will let them communicate with the Big Brotherhood blimp over at Boston Airport. To this end, Paladin Dance requests that we accompany him to ArcJet Systems to find it. Here, we encounter a bunch of Institute synths looking to get the part for themselves. After punching a bunch of robots out, activating a rocket booster test, and roasting Dance alive in his suit, we make our way upstairs to where more synths have recovered the transmitter. A short fracas ensues, we retrieve the part, and Dance offers us a place in the Brotherhood of Steel. While this would initially be tempting due to easy access to fusion cores and better power armor, ultimately the Brotherhood believed that the synths are a threat to be eliminated and must be stopped at all costs. From what we've seen of synths so far, synths like Nick Valentine, it doesn't seem like this is a sensible ally to have. The Railroad, on the other hand, are an underground organisation dedicated to the freedom and protection of synths, recognising them as a new type of life form with free will and agency, and viewing their subjugation as slavery. Their headquarters in the Old North Church can be found by following the historic Freedom Trail, a real-life Boston attraction that guides you through the historic city, past landmarks that are steeped in blood and violence, and ultimately victory for the fledgling USA. Inside the church's catacombs, we input a secret passphrase,
Railroad,
into a secret passphrase machine, allowing us to meet them directly. They're initially unpleased that we managed to follow a red line on the ground and guess an extremely simple passphrase, but our presence is soon given blessing by Deacon, a freed synth working with the Railroad. In order for us to ingratiate ourselves further into the Railroad, we meet up with Deacon, who teaches us a Railroad countersign and has us communicate with a Railroad tourist, a source of info for the Railroad, who tells us that the previous Railroad headquarters, a Slocum's Joe, has been overrun with synths. We head into the secret tunnel around the back, into a pre-war government facility, and smack some sense into a bunch of synths, before absconding with a precious prototype of a device that will help the Railroad. Upon our return, we're granted the rank of Agent in the Railroad. We gain access to their headquarters and access to their quests. The Minutemen don't really care either way about synths. They're more interested in retaking Fort Independence, also called the Castle, after it was abandoned to Mirelurks some years prior. We're required to gather there, punch out some Mirelurks, stomp on some egg clutches, and then take out the enraged Mirelurk Queen.
Mirelurk Queen.
At this point, we're at level 29, which is where the higher ranks of our selected perks really start to shine. The Mirelurk Queen is supposed to be an enemy that is really difficult to take out, and her acid breath can dissolve your armor, killing you in seconds. Thankfully, we can teleport in from miles away, sock her on the jaw, and have her collapse in 4 hits. It's extremely satisfying. After taking care of the Mirelurk Queen, Preston asks us to set up some power for the radio tower. Hey, that rhymes! And when our new radio station is broadcasting, we've done pretty much everything required for the Minutemen, and we'll only be seeing them one more time in this video. Now that we know who the major players are, we can return to the main quest line. We return to Nick's detective agency, and explain that Kellogg has expired.
Guessing he wasn't the surrender and talk type, was he?
He's dead, Nick.
Remember that happening? That was so long ago. Nick has the idea of taking the bit of brain we picked up and going over to a place called the Memory Den in nearby Goodneighbor.
The past moments in your mind as clear as the day they happened. If anyone could get a dead brain to sing, it'll be Dr. Amari, the mind behind the memories.
In the Memory Den, Nick is hooked up into the brain and bits of circuitry we stole from Kellogg, and we're hooked into Nick's brain. We go through the world's worst dream sequence to discover that the reason nobody can find an entrance to the Institute is because they've invented teleportation, and so there is no entrance. We see Sean as a 10-year-old kid, and we learn that someone escaped from the Institute and is hiding out in the glowing sea, the site of the nuclear explosion witnessed in the beginning of the game. We have our upgraded power armor, so let's just run down there and check things out. After talking to some local weirdos, we're directed to a nearby legendary Deathclaw. After talking to some local weirdos, we're directed to a nearby cave, where ex-Institute scientist Virgil Texas has been turned into a super mutant, and is working to restore himself to his former humanity. Virgil reveals that Institute courses, a scary type of synth, all have a relay chip in their head that enables someone to teleport into and out of the Institute. We're required to track down a Corsair, kill it, and extract the chip. This done, we have the chip analysed by the railroad, and we're given schematics to a relay device from Virgil. All we need now is a place to build it. A potential railroad safe house has been scoped out. We're required to go in, subdue the local wildlife, and build all of the necessary parts for the relay device. Once construction is finished and fully powered up, Desdemona reveals the railroad's ultimate secret. They have an agent, codenamed Patriot, on the inside, helping the railroad free Institute synths. We're required to get in touch with Patriot and assist them in any way that we can. We're also asked to work as a double agent for the Institute and do what we can to undermine it. With that all said and done, it's time for us to teleport into the Institute, by way of a 10-hour-long elevator ride, is shown to be radically different to the surface above. It's a scientific utopia. It's clean. It's bright.
Wow.
The Institute is run by a man called Father, who we'll be seeing shortly. Right now, our priority is finding Sean, who is conveniently locked in a room on our only path forward. Now we can finally get some father-son bonding time in, and we hardly had to change a nappy.
Sean?
Huh?
Sean?
Huh? Yes, I'm Sean.
Sean?
In the world's least surprising twist, Sean doesn't know who Bob is, despite him saying,
It's me. I'm your dad.
Guess those points in intelligence really makes things hard here. Unfortunately, our suspicions of Sean not actually being our son are confirmed when he's revealed to be a synth.
Father, help me!
Sean. S923, recall code Cirrus.
And deactivated in front of us by a man with a really suspicious nose. After some fooling around, Father is revealed to actually be our son, Sean. Instead of 10 years in the tank, it was 60 years between our two unfreezings. So now, after discovering our son is older than we are, and that he's the head of the Institute who we're here to fight, we immediately come to the conclusion that our son is an unfeeling sociopath who doesn't give a shit about the people in the outside world or the things that they're going through, and we decide to thoroughly destroy everything he loves. To that end, after leaving an encoded message for Patriot, we meet him in the world's shiniest broom closet, and it's just some kid. Liam has been helping synths escape into the outer world without really knowing what happens to them after, and seems surprised when we mention the railroader involved. Thankfully, he is able to lead us to Z-114, a leader among a group of rebel synths who want their own freedom.
It's okay, Z1. He's a friend. He's with the railroad. Meeting here is dangerous.
Z-114 has a group of 13 synths that are ready to escape. The only thing that Liam needs in order to unlock the security doors is an old-timey username and password for their security system. Before giving Liam these credentials, easily acquired through the railroad, we suggest to Z-114 that it might be better to attempt to free all the synths at once, instead of just 13. He agrees, and suggests that we don't tell Liam, as we'll be fighting through his people to escape. With backstab number 1 in place, it's time to assist the Institute with our first mission as a double agent. A rogue synth has been acting as the captain of a raider crew, and we're paired up with synth courser X688 to dispatch him. After fighting through the rogue synth's crew on a flotilla of small boats, we reach the captain's quarters. Here, X688 requests that we use the rogue synth's shutdown code instead of killing him, something that we decline to do.
After all the innocent lives he's taken, I believe the word you're looking for, sir, is justice.
Because we have no charisma, talking Gabriel down is impossible, and he starts to fight us. As we wipe out the rest of his crew, X688 uses the shutdown code and is able to teleport himself and Gabriel back to the Institute. Back at the Institute, Z-114 has gathered a large number of volunteer synths who wish to fight for their own freedom. He admits to needing a lot of weapons, and requests our help with killing a bunch of guards and staging a tunnel collapse, so the synths will be assumed dead, while they're secretly making enough weapons to fight with. After dispatching the guards, we're asked to continue working with Father until one of the rebels signals us that they're ready.
Hello, Father. Tell me, what would you do when someone has stolen from you?
Our next mission is to launch a surprise attack on Bunker Hill, where the railroad are keeping a few escaped synths. Notifying them in advance, the railroad instead set up an ambush for the Institute. We're asked to go in and make sure that we're the only Institute unit remaining, before reporting our failure back to Father. This is easily accomplished, since, remarkably, the Brotherhood of Steel have also decided to launch a surprise attack on Bunker Hill at the same time. That's fortunate. The Brotherhood and Institute armies are both driven back without much effort, and the synths are free to live their lives as they wish.
I can't believe you'd do that for us. Thank you.
After clearing Bunker Hill, we meet Father on the roof of the odd CIT building, and he really does not sell us on the idea of helping the Institute.
Always known. The Commonwealth is dead. There's no future here. The only hope for humanity lies below.
After revealing that he was the one who freed us from the vault after 60 years, as a sick experiment to see if we loved him, Father briefly reprimands us for the events that just played out, but decides to hide our actions from the Directorate, as that will only hinder plans that he has already put in motion. What are those plans, you may ask? Father wants to start a nuclear reactor underground and have it power the Institute so that they can keep expanding to do more evil stuff. Also, we're now Father's successor. Being a double agent has never been so easy. I hope there won't be any further questioning of our place as leader of the... We're sent to Mass Fusion to retrieve a MacGuffin that the Brotherhood also wants. This is our first direct fight with the Brotherhood of Steel, and the game lets you know in no uncertain terms that siding with the Institute here will make you an enemy of the Brotherhood. Since we love synths, and they don't, we haven't been doing any quests for them, so there's nothing there for us to wrap up, and we can go ahead and start denting some Brotherhood armor. Mass Fusion is a tall building. For some reason we teleport in at the top, despite being able to teleport theoretically anywhere, and despite what we want being in the basement. After taking a casual elevator trip or two down to the reactor level, we're able to pinch the MacGuffin, defeat all of the security robots, and get the hell out of Dodge. These fights start getting really fun, because the strong back perk will let you use your AP to run if you're over encumbered, but no AP means no VATS. No VATS means no blitz, and no chance to refuel your AP meter. So I just stand still, wait for the enemy to come close enough, then teleport to it with blitz, and use that to get around without spending a lot of AP. With the Brotherhood licking its wounds, and the MacGuffin safely in the hands of the Institute, we're sent out on our next test. The Minutemen are protecting a guy who the Institute wants to bring in to assist with the reactor. Aforementioned guy won't come easy. We like the Minutemen. Hell, we're their leader. So how do we get out of this without pissing them off? Let's just pretend that we're not here, and we'll have the Institute guys kill everyone else for us, then we'll swoop in and we'll claim our prize.
Mr. Wallace, I'm here to talk to you.
You're another one of them, aren't you? Are you a robot?
Don't be ridiculous. Of course I'm not a robot.
That's exactly what a robot would say. I've heard all the stories. I know exactly what happens to people when the Institute shows up. Well, it's not happening to me.
Hey, just calm down, okay? I just want to talk to you.
If I wanted to talk, I wouldn't be in here. Now, just go away!
Just shut up and listen to me. We're not here to hurt you. But if you make this difficult, you're going to regret it.
See? I knew it! You're here to kill me.
Due to our low charisma, we humorously failed to talk our target into giving up easy, and they just arranged for someone to teleport into the room where he's holed up. Wait, could they have just done that the entire time? Easy done. Another Institute test passed, and one step closer to freeing all of the synths that they have. Now that our place as future director is secure, we're invited to turn on the nuclear reactor and to chair our first meeting. We ostensibly set our goals for the future of the Institute, and are about to wrap up when we're informed that Z-114 is ready to talk to us. Z-114 advises that all of the synths are ready to escape, but they've received news that the Railroad are about to be attacked in their headquarters by the Brotherhood of Steel. It's up to us to defend the Railroad before we can have any chance of rescuing the synths.
Glad you signed on. Means I might get to take the occasional night off.
C1's rebellion is ready, but we have a crisis. The Brotherhood's on their way here.
What? What are you talking about?
Institute caught wind of a surprise attack.
Jesus.
Defending Railroad HQ is fairly simple. The Brotherhood of Steel have come in through the back exit with a small shock force. They're easily dispatched, and we're sent to the front exit to check how things are holding up there. Glory goes out in a blaze of...
None of them got past me. Damn, that stings.
She fights to her death, and normally we'd feel sad about that, but honestly we've spent so little time in the Railroad HQ, it'd be surprising if anyone had actually noticed her at this point. The Brotherhood of Steel guys in power armor really make the strong back perk earn its place here. By the time we leave Railroad HQ for the Old North Church, we're already over encumbered, so teleporting up the corridor with VATS is our fastest strategy. Waiting around for AP to recharge isn't fun, but it sure makes Blitz that little bit more satisfying. Desdemona wants to take the fight directly to the Brotherhood of Steel, which is a great plan. We quick travel back to the Central Square police station to eliminate all Brotherhood associates. The keen-eyed among you will realise that Paladin Dance is missing, replaced by a generic Brotherhood Knight. This is because Dance was actually a synth all along, and has been executed by the Brotherhood of Steel. Talk about inner conflict. This section is one of the most difficult of the main quest line. Not just because I was too lazy to sit through 2 loading zones to get to the inside of this locked garage, but because of
mandatory God.
Tinker Tom is working to get the vertibird on the roof of the police station working so that Deacon and Bob can go to the
Big Brotherhood blimp
and blow it up. A second vertibird shows up, and the expected player action is to shoot it down with the minigun attached to the vertibird. That's not going to happen. Thankfully, characters who are essential to the plot can never die, they can only be downed, and they'll recover on their own eventually. Deacon single-handedly shoots the vertibird down. Great job, Deacon! And soon we're off on a long, uneventful trip to the blimp. Eventually, we manage to make it onto the Pridwin without any shots fired, and Deacon recommends that we wear a Brotherhood of Steel uniform while on board, to stop ourselves from being spotted. Being too lazy to change his underclothes, Bob reckons he can turn up in his power armor and just not be recognized. Bob is immediately recognized, and our great looting spree begins. Codsworth hates when we steal things, but the way I see it, we're about to blow this whole place to smithereens. We might as well get some good loot. Vats lets me teleport into a locked quartermaster's shop, where I'm certain that I've been soft-locked and I'll have to restart. Thankfully, the Brotherhood Mr. Gutsy noticed me stealing, and I was able to teleport back out again. I took the opportunity to repair our power armor using materials found on board the Pridwin, and still managed to make it off with 1200 weight of weapons, armor, and stuff. This will be a great source of caps. We escape under fire, but we're not required to fire back, and the vertibird makes a safe landing not far from the wreck of the Pridwin.
That's a hell of a thing. Rest easy, boy.
With Z114 ready, the railroad ready, and a buttload of caps in our pocket, it's time to pull off the greatest heist the Commonwealth has ever seen.
So that means you will be waiting.
Back in the Institute, Z114 gives us a great goal to accomplish.
Everything's ready. It's time.
Good. We'll need to clear this room before I can do more.
Desdemona and the railroad troops are teleported into the Institute, and elevator access is shut off. After giving us a cool bomb, Desdemona follows us down the service tunnels and into the Institute proper. Before we can get anywhere useful, however, we'll need to lift the lockdown, which can only be done from the director's terminal, which leads us directly to our son, Father. Father is lying on his deathbed, bitterly disappointed with our parenting style.
You had me fooled. I really believed you were on our side.
What's happened to you? Are you sick?
Well, don't pretend to care now. You had your chance to help me, and cast me aside instead. It's not enough that I lay here dying. Now you plan on what? Destroying everything?
Sean, if you help me, fewer people will die. Will you?
I'll have no hand in what you're doing. Now go. Leave me.
Having said our goodbyes, we turn away slowly to unlock the director's terminal. If there's one person we won't punch, it's our son, the child we worked so hard to protect, and who we love. Father!
Mr. Bond!
With the terminal unlocked, the lockdown is overridden, and we can make our way into the chamber with the nuclear reactor. Here, we're able to demonstrate our Einsteinian spooky punching at a distance, knocking out synths and turrets alike. Once everyone is dispatched and we've looted everything not bolted down, we attach our cool bomb to the nuclear reactor and we're teleported back to the Institute relay. Tinker Tom is here with the Not Sean that Father made to taunt us. He's been reprogrammed to think that he's our son, and he really doesn't want to be left to die in the Institute. I guess all synths should be rescued, even if they are impersonating someone that we loved. We're teleported back to the top of the mass fusion building, remember that? And are given the honours of pressing the nuclear detonation button. And so the story ends how it began, with an unexpected nuclear detonation in Boston, Massachusetts. Our son, and everything he ever worked or stood for, has been wiped off the face of the earth. But there are still synths out there who need our help, settlements who need a Minuteman's assistance, and who knows, maybe someone will buy the 1,050 weight of stuff that we ripped off from the Institute. That was the main quest line, no shots fired. There's still a lot to do in the Commonwealth and beyond, and Bob's fists aren't ready to retire yet. Keep your eyes peeled for more Bob.